Uh-oh, my granola jar is empty. And that is really a scary thing to be out of granola. And I'm not a fan of store-bought granola. So stick around, and I'm going to show you how to make an amazing custom granola to fit your taste. So I said this was going to be a roadmap to granola, and what I mean by that is I'm going to show you all the ingredients that go in and tell you how you can customize them to make a granola that really fits your flavor palette and what you like. So first of all, we have grains. Of course, you have to have oats when you're making granola. Every granola starts with oats. But what else you add to the oats can change. You could use exclusively oats, or you can add other things. On this tray, I have 4 cups of rolled oats, but I also have 2 cups of Kamut flakes. You can use other rolled flakes like barley or wheat. I love the combination of Kamut and oats, so that's what I have for this. They're on this sheet tray, and they went in the oven, and I toasted them for 10 minutes at 325 degrees Fahrenheit. It dries them out a bit, makes them a little crunchier, and it gives them a cooked quality that is really delicious in granola. One of the things I don't like about store-bought granolas is they're often too chewy, and the grains, the oats, aren't cooked enough. And so I like to give them a head start by toasting them in the oven. Now let's talk about the dry ingredients that we're going to mix together. You could do this after they're toasted or while they're being toasted. The first thing we're going to add are some nuts. 1 cup of nuts. I have 2 things here. I'm using half a cup of walnuts and half a cup of coconut. You can mix it up. More again about the roadmap style. You can create whatever granola you like. You want to use almonds, pecans, pistachios, macadamia nuts. You can use all of one or mix them up the way I did. You can even substitute some of it for seeds like shelled pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds. This time again, I'm using half a cup of walnuts and half a cup of unsweetened shredded coconut. We have a dry granulated sweetener. I'm using light brown sugar, 6 tablespoons of it. I'm going to put that in. You can use dark brown sugar if you want more of a molasses quality. You can use palm sugar, coconut sugar. Any dried granulated sugar will work. The more flavor you add into this, the better. We're going to put half a cup of dry non-fat milk powder. And a lot of people always say to me, why do you put that in there? It actually does 2 things. It adds a lot more protein to this granola, which is something I want in granola if I'm eating it for breakfast. If you have a problem with dairy, you can leave this out. It'll change the texture a little bit, but it'll still work. Then we have half a cup of wheat germ. The wheat germ, again, gives us a lot of fiber and a lot of flavor. It's non-negotiable. Wheat germ goes in. Then we have both salt and cinnamon. 1.5 teaspoons of each. I know 1.5 teaspoons of salt seems like a lot, but the salty undertone of a granola is what makes it really so delicious. So that gets all mixed up. Now, these are the toasted grains, and these get mixed right into this bowl. And try not to get it all over the floor. I'm going to keep going back to that one episode Mark shot where his cheese didn't quite make it into his pan, and see if I could do this. I got a couple of oat grains on the board. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to mix this up. I got my hands in here, but I'm going to switch to a spoon in a minute, and you'll see why. This now needs liquid. It needs fat, and it needs a liquid sweetener. Both of those are negotiable in what you use. You could make it any flavors you like. You can use a nut oil, like walnut oil to match your nuts, or almond oil to match your nuts, pecan oil, or you can go with a more neutral oil, like a canola oil or a vegetable oil, which will help bring out then the other flavors. They'll stand out a lot more. Also, for a liquid sweetener, you can use maple syrup, you could use honey, you can use sorghum syrup. Almost any liquid sweetener is going to work here. I'm using maple syrup, 2/3 of a cup, and plain canola oil, 2/3 of a cup, and 1 tablespoon of vanilla. Why are they in this pot? Because I heated them up. If you pour the cold oil and cold sugar syrup onto here, it's not going to absorb as well into the grains, and it won't be as good a texture. So I warmed them up, And now I pour them in. And this is where I'm going to switch from my hands to a wooden spoon or a spatula. And I'm just going to stir this until these are completely coated and that liquid is well blended, coated, the oats start to absorb it, and it's a uniform mixture. If you're going to stick your hands in this bowl the way I've done before the liquid went in, make sure you wash them first. Always use clean hands when you're mixing things with your hands. Now, this has to get baked again. It can go back on the same tray. We don't need to oil this because there's a lot of fat in the granola. It won't stick. So we're going to spread this out. I'm going to dump it back onto the tray. If you don't have a tray this big, and this is a 13 by 18, then you might have to divide it into 2 trays. If you do that, make sure your racks in your oven are separated, and if you have convection, use that. Otherwise, you're going to have to rearrange your trays halfway through cooking. So I am going to even this out, once again using my fingers, which I washed before we started. Oh, God, it already smells good. This is going to bake at 325 degrees for 10 minutes, at which point I'm going to take a spatula, probably use this same one, and toss it around. 10 more minutes, toss it around, and then it comes out. So we're going to take care of that, and then I'll show you what happens at that point. So this baked at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 minutes. I stirred it up just like this, making sure that it all got mixed up. Another 10 minutes, and it's done. This is now another moment where you have a decision to make. Do you like dried fruit in your granola or not? I'm not a fan of dried fruit in my granola. Mark is. The way we compromise is I don't put it in now, and he could put it in his bowl when he eats it. So if you want dried fruit in your granola, though, and you like it every morning, now's the time when you could take half a cup or 3/4 of a cup of chopped up dried fruit. That would be prunes or apricots or whole raisins or currants. Sprinkle them on top. Give it a little stir so they get mixed in. And then just let this cool completely and store it in a jar like that empty jar I showed you at the beginning. Let me tell you, this is granola that you will want to eat all day long. You're going to want to serve to company. People will come to your house just for this granola. For all the ingredients in US and metric, click more information below this video. And please like this video and subscribe to this channel, Cooking with Bruce and Mark. And look for our podcast, also called Cooking with Bruce and Mark. And you'll get some fabulous recipes every time we get together.